High-quality cocoa beans offer chocolate and confectionery manufacturers an opportunity to develop a cornucopia of delightful premium chocolate products. Management along the value chain is critical to ensuring quality. Quality certification is done to determine the presence or absence of defects from fermentation, drying or storage, as well as to provide an assessment of the flavor potential of the bean. It provides important information to the farmer, cocoa processor, cocoa bean exporter, and chocolate maker about the extent of defects and the intrinsic flavor attributes of the bean. This informs decisions regarding the growing of specific cocoa varieties, optimization of the primary processing steps, as well as guiding pricing. Cocoa Research Center conducts 2 levels of cocoa certification: basic and advanced. The first step to quality certification is obtaining a sample of beans that is representative of the larger amount for the purposes of examination, analysis, and grading. Coning and quartering processes are carried out to reduce sample size to the desired quantity. The second step is physical bean quality testing. This gives a cue on fermentation effects and the performance of the bean in chocolate making. Moisture content of beans is important as breakage occurs during transport and storage at moisture contents below 6%, while mold growth is seen at moisture contents above 8%. Beans free of extraneous foreign material are placed in appropriately calibrated handheld or benchtop moisture meters to determine the moisture content. Bean counts are simply the amount of beans required to make up 100 grams. From this data, an average bean weight can be calculated, which is important in determining the roasting regimes. Usually, bean weights above 1 gram is considered desirable. Cut tests are done on fermented and dried beans. It is the most commonly used method to visually assess the degree of fermentation via bean fissuring, coloring, and presence or absence of defects. A representative subsample of the bean is cut longitudinally using a pair of secateurs or a Magra bean cutter that cuts 50 beans at once. The assessment should be done within 30 minutes to 1 hour of cutting the beans. A defect count, moldy, germinated, flat or insect damaged beans, as well as the degree of fermentation, is assessed as the percentage of beans falling into the following categories: unfermented or slaty, underfermented, well-fermented, over-fermented. Immediately after cutting, aroma is assessed by smell from the freshly cut surfaces of the beans. Bean aroma gives a good initial indication on what dominant flavors might be present in the finished liquor or chocolate. Defects such as smoky and oily taints or off notes from over-fermentation can be detected at this stage, and it may be a good reason to reject or discontinue further evaluations. The data from the physical assessment and cut test is presented in the following categories: bean passport data, general bean observations, moisture content, bean count 100 grams, bean weight, cut test results as a percentage, bean fissuring, aroma or odor, and color. In advanced certification, cocoa flavor assessment is done through a sensory evaluation by a trained panel. The bean samples are milled into a liquor form for tasting using a prescribed protocol. After stirring and smelling, about 1 gram of melted cocoa liquor is taken on a small spatula and placed directly on the tongue for flavor evaluation. During this time, the different attributes making up the flavor profile become apparent in 3 stages: initial front flavor notes, middle flavor notes, and residual end flavor notes. Scores for global quality and uniqueness are assigned. Quality certification is an essential step in building trust between buyer and seller, and therefore should be carried out by an independent organization. Part of the suite of services that Cocoa Research Center offers, quality certification allows all stakeholders in the cocoa value chain to identify and eliminate defects as part of a continuous improvement process that can lead to a better and more consistent quality of cocoa beans.